Welcome to episode 3 of Fiction Fridays. I'm Heather Shoemaker, author of books for kids and grown-ups, and I'm glad you're back with us. This episode is dedicated to Sylvia in Michigan. She read The Griffins of Castle Cary and declared she was not going to put it down until it was finished. Her mother said when she neared the end of the book that she did not want to finish it because it was so good. Thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia's also been enjoying Fiction Fridays, and since we talked last week about what our names mean, Sylvia looked up what her name means and told me about her name. So this is what she said: I like the writing tips and all the stories you tell on the show. My name Sylvia means from the forest, and I looked up what Meg, Will, and Ariel's names mean. That was interesting to learn about. And then she goes on to tell me some of the books she's reading because of the book recommendations we do on the show here. She said, I've read The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander with my dad, and I'm currently on The Black Cauldron, which is the second book in the series. She says, my favorite character is Gurgi because of all his funny vocabulary. What's your favorite character from that series? Well, Sylvia, my favorite character is also Gurgi. I love the funny way he talks and how he talks about all the crunchings and munchings. So he really adds some humor into a book that can get a little suspenseful. So we both have the same favorite character. You know, I think when we read a book that has a lot of suspense in it, we often appreciate having an animal character. And that's why I put in an animal character in The Griffins of Castle Cary. I have a big Newfoundland dog in the book, precisely because I really loved having an animal character in a mystery adventure book. It added humor, and it made me feel a little bit more comfortable when the main characters got into a sticky spot. So I wanted to read a little bit today from The Griffins of Castle Cary because we're going to talk about point of view today. And I had fun playing around with point of view in this book. At times, I took the point of view, how the story is told, from each of the three kids. So sometimes you hear about things from Will's point of view, and sometimes from Meg's or from Ariel's. You also hear about it from the ghost's point of view. And not only from those people, but sometimes from animals. So I wanted to read you this little bit, which is from the point of view of some sheep. McBurney's sheep flock had seen many strange sights. There was the time a fox had snatched a newborn lamb in broad daylight. Once a hawk had dive-bombed the flock when they'd grazed too close to her new nest in the oak, and the time Mr. McBurney had bought a new protractor. But nothing had ever spooked them as much as the sight of a creature running hunched over through the pasture with two things latched onto its back. So this is where the sheep are seeing the ghost going by. And this is how they react. The flock shuffled nervously and stamped their front feet. Then they did what all sensible sheep do when faced with an unknown menace. They panicked. And you know, I think that's exactly what sheep would do when something strange is happening. They all move as once in one big flock and they panic. They do a panic run trying to get away from the danger. So I had so much fun with point of view in this book. I don't always keep it with the same person, but it's the same story. So that's what I mean by sometimes the author can take point of view and change who the story is coming from to give the reader a clue about what's going to happen next. I do that to build up suspense. So at times the kids don't know, the kids in the story don't know, but the reader knows that the ghosts are getting closer or the ghosts are moving to a new spot. So I'm building up that tension in the reader, but actually the kids are going along not realizing that the danger is getting closer. But I can also do it the opposite way because I like a story that's suspenseful but not too scary. So at times I will change the point of view and let the reader know that help is on the way, that the rescue is coming. So that lets the reader relax or gives the reader a little bit of humor at a tense moment. But then the characters are still feeling like they're in a really difficult situation. So you can change point of view for fun to see what it's like to be in the head of a flock of sheep. I tried thinking what the sheep would think and also what a dog would think and also even what a tree would think at one point. That was sort of an experimental chapter, but people told me they liked knowing what a tree thinks. So you might try doing that in your story. Try changing the point of view to bring it in really close and intimate into one character's head, and then try from another point of view to help the reader learn when something is going to be exciting, or maybe to relieve that tension and help the reader feel more comfortable. So one way you can get better with your own writing is to try to tell the story from different points of view. And to practice this and just try out your creativity, you can even take a story that you know that's not your own story, like a fairy tale. So for example, you could take the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Normally we hear that story from Jack's point of view. Well, what about telling it from the golden goose's point of view, or from Jack's mother's point of view, or from the giant's point of view, or from a neighbor's point of view? You can decide what point of view and write the same story many different ways and see what fun you have with that. Now, I think point of view is also so important for us as people, even for people who don't write stories, because point of view helps us grow our kindness. Empathy is what it means to feel what it's like to have somebody else's feelings, to walk in their shoes and see what their life is like. And that almost always, when we do that, helps us be more kind to other people. So try out point of view in your stories. Try writing from the point of view of the bad guy. Try it out in your stories and try it out at home in your daily life. Maybe when you get into an argument with your brother or your sister or somebody, just point of view just means turning your head completely around and thinking of things from somebody else's perspective, from somebody else's point of view. So point of view can make our hearts grow bigger. All right, I think it's time for the story cape this week. And I had a request to pick the purple one from Arthur in California. So Arthur, oh, there's the purple one. So I'm picking the purple color for Arthur. Yes, this one is just how I got the name of the Griffin kids. I've always liked griffins, the mythological beast. But griffin, since you're making up everything in fiction, you have to make up their names, and I had to make up their last name too. And the reason I came up with their last name of the Griffin was I was just going down the street, and in the town where I live, there's a little small street, only a couple blocks long, called Griffin Street. And I saw the street sign, and I said, Griffin, what a great name. I think I'm going to name my family the Griffin family. And so that's what this purple one says, is the story idea of how I got to name the family the Griffins. That's for you, Arthur. Now, before I go on to today's joke, I have some exciting news I want to share with you. I'm excited to announce a brand new kid fiction writing contest. It's for you, all of you who are locked down at home, can't go to school, and maybe you're thinking about writing a story. Well, now you can enter this contest during the month of April. This contest is put on by a bookstore. Now, I love independent bookstores. Those are your local bookstores in your town, and they always have very good ideas about what kids like to read. So one of my favorite, I have so many favorite bookstores, but one of my favorite independent bookstores is in Madison, Wisconsin, and the name of the store is called Mystery to Me. So they have mysteries like the Griffins of Castle Cary, but they have all kinds of books. They just have all kinds of good books at their store. And the folks at Mystery to Me bookstore in Wisconsin are sponsoring a fiction writing contest for kids. So all you need to do is write a story and be a kid. That means that anybody from preschool age all the way up through high school can enter this special fiction writing contest. You don't even need to know how to write. You can dictate your story, have somebody write it down for you. You will need to type it into the contest form online. So it has to be your story, but somebody else can do the typing if that's too hard for you. Now write it down in April and turn it in May, and because there's prizes. So here are the prizes. You get a gift certificate to Mystery to Me bookstore. You also get your very own signed paperback copy of The Griffins of Castle Carey, signed by me to you, and your story read aloud by me on a video. So enter the contest, see if you can win the prizes. We'd love to hear your stories. And I'm just going to show you some of the details of how you can enter the contest. So I'm going to show you, it's called Kids Write, and that's how you can enter the contest. Entries due May 1st. And I will put the link on the episode and on my Facebook page. But this is the form that you will enter, Kids Write, Volume 2. They did it last year, and they're doing it again. All right. So I hope that you have fun writing your stories. Are you ready for the day's joke? All right. What happens when it rains cats and dogs? You heard that phrase, raining cats and dogs? What happens when it rains cats and dogs? Watch out, you can step in a poodle. All right, I like that one. Now I want to tell you about some book recommendations. And I chose these ones because we're talking about point of view. There are so many good kids' books that are taken from points of view that are not necessarily people. And two of my absolute favorites are The Trumpeter Swan by E.B. White. Now, E.B. White is the same author as Charlotte's Web, and most people know two of his books, Stuart Little and Charlotte's Web, but he wrote an amazing third one, The Trumpeter Swan, and I think it might be my favorite of all of his books. Now, this is told from the point of view, you might have guessed, of a swan, a trumpeter swan, Louis the Swan. But sometimes he switches point of view, so it's also told from the point of view of the boy, Sam. And sometimes even from the main character, who's Louis the Swan, sometimes from his father, the old Cobb. And Cobb is the name for a male swan. So there's, it's a great story, and especially if you like music and learning an instrument is tricky. Here is Louis the Swan trying different positions when he's first trying to learn how to play the trumpet. Now, yesterday, I'd already picked this book out to share with you today, but yesterday I was out on a walk trying to get a little bit of exercise, and I went to a lake. Guess what I saw out there on the lake? 2 trumpeter swans. Now, trumpeter swans are very rare, and mostly we see swans with orange bills. I want to show you a picture of what a trumpeter swan looks like. So a trumpeter swan, as they say, has a black bill and black feet, and it looks like this. They are magnificent birds, and some of the other swans are pushing out habitat where these birds live. But whenever I see a trumpeter swan, I think of The Trumpet of the Swan, the book. And yesterday was amazing because there were 2 swans, 2 trumpeter swans. And I thought, oh, there's Louis and Serena. Those are the 2 main swans in the book. But I'm not quite sure it was Louis the Swan because I didn't see a trumpet around his neck. Maybe he had it to the side because the swans I saw were having a bath. They were splashing. So maybe he put his trumpet on the bank. The other book I wanted to share with you is Watership Down. Now, this book is amazing. It's an entire world taken from the point of view of rabbits. And it's not just the rabbit, one rabbit's point of view. The author, Richard Adams, has created an entire world of rabbits. He has rabbit fairy tales. He has rabbit religion, so a whole rabbit mythology. He's created a universe all about from the rabbit's point of view. This is an old copy of the book. This is the copy I read when I was 10 years old. Now, for The Trumpet of the Swan, you can enjoy this book from, say, age 6 all the way up to whatever age. Watership Down, you probably want to wait maybe till you're about 10 or so, because it's a little longer, a little more complicated book. But one thing I absolutely love, besides it's a great story, is that he creates his own language. He goes as far as to create a language called Lapine. And Lapine is a made-up language that only rabbits speak. And he has words in Lapine to share with you. So I'm going to show you what these look like just a little bit. The word Lapine comes from the French word for rabbit, which is lapin. But Lapine isn't an English word until he invented it for his story. So there's one of his rabbits. And here's some of the really cool words that he came up with. Where and hrududu. He has rabbit grammar. So he has plural for words. The plural of hrududu is hrududil. Hrududu is what rabbits would call a motor vehicle. So any kind of tractor or car or anything like that that makes a big hrududu noise. Where is a really interesting word. Where means, he has a glossary in the back, a great many, an unaccountable number. Now remember, this is from rabbit's point of view. So he says rabbits can only count up to 4. Any number above 4 is where, means a lot or 1,000. So if you can count to 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. But if the next number is where, meaning, wow, that's a big number. So I love the way he creates an entire universe for rabbits. He also creates words for things that rabbits do, like go out of the burrow and eat grass. He has a whole vocabulary word for that. And also, you know how rabbits can get really scared and sort of hypnotized? He has a whole word for that feeling of being so scared you're petrified. So try these books out from rabbit point of views and swan point of views, and I wonder what kind of point of view you will use for your story. Also, since you're stuck on lockdown, if you do read Watership Down, then you can tell your friends, they say, what did you do while you're out of school? You can say, I learned a whole new language, Lapine. All right, now Sylvia also told me some books that she recommended, and I was so tickled because one of the books she recommended is from the point of view of a horse. So she said, I recommend Black Beauty as another good book. It's written from the perspective of a horse, and I love horses. You learn a lot about the different owners and how they treat Black Beauty. And Sylvia, that's true. I've read Black Beauty. It's a great story I think any age would enjoy. And it is told from the point of view of a horse. Right from the very beginning, you know it's a horse and he's growing up in the meadow, and how his life acts with different owners. So I'm glad you like that book, Black Beauty. It's an old book, and it's one that kids are still reading today. So Sylvia, I hope you liked your episode, and I know you liked the Griffins of Castle Cary because I hear from your mom that you gave it to a friend as a birthday present, that you chose to give the Griffins of Castle Cary as a birthday present, which is really cool. So if any of you would like to get a birthday present that's a book for a child or an adult is stuck in lockdown in your life, I really suggest going to Bookshop, because this is a way that you can support your local bookstore during this time of lockdown. And I'm going to show you again the website. This is how you can get a book from Bookshop. Just designate the local bookstore that you want to support, and a portion of the money goes to your local bookstore. Now, if you would like to be on Fiction Friday, I would love to dedicate a show to you. So send me your book recommendations. Tell me what you're reading, what you recommend to other kids, or send a review of the Griffins. Tell me what you thought, or even tell me what color pom-pom you'd like me to pick next time. You can write me a note on my website. I'll even be able to personalize a book for you or send you a signed book plate. And you can subscribe so you don't miss a show. As Sylvia's mother said, thank you for adding another bright spot to these long days at home. You're welcome. And we all need something to look forward to. So I look forward to seeing you next Friday. And don't forget to enter the kids' fiction writing contest that Mystery to Me is putting on. I can't wait to see your stories. That's all for this week. See you next time. Bye.